If you've ever been frustrated by how your images are being displayed in the article widgets on your website, then stay tuned for this deep dive into all things featured images. Okay, so let's start with a brief showcase of the widgets that are available by default on our platform. As we see here, we've got the slider widget. This is our big featured hero widget, which often we place at the top of the page. It allows you to scroll through a few articles here. This can be set to auto scroll if necessary. Over in the sidebar, this is a headlines widget, which can be set to just show the headlines. As we'll scroll down here, next one we have is the one column layout, which has a hero image for the first article, and then the subsequent articles will have the featured image to the left. Scrolling down, that moves into a two column, same idea, hero image for the first article, subsequent flowing into the two column layout. One thing you might notice is that these hero images are the same. I will go and verify this as we move through, but basically there are only a few images you need to address when you're dealing with the crops to make sure that these appear properly in the widgets. But moving forward, the vertical stack removes the hero styling from the first article, and then they're all just styled the same, with the image can be to the left, right. There's some settings in each of these widgets that will allow varying placements of these featured images. And then moving down, the horizontal grid is simply a left to right variant of the vertical grid, same featured image layout. The magazine style is one of those special kind of mosaic looking widgets. And the appearance of this will vary depending on how many stories are included, but normally you'll have the main hero article on the left here, and then it will squeeze in the subsequent articles here on the right hand side, depending on how many you want to include. And then finally here at the bottom, we have a different variant of the headlines where you have the single hero image for the first article and then just the headlines for the remainders. So scrolling back through these, if we want to adjust the cropping and how these fit, by default, these are showing blurred borders on the top and the bottom to ensure that the entire image is visible when it's displayed in the widget. However, if we want to specify a portion of the image, i.e. a crop, for these to be displayed in the individual widgets, that is our next step. So using our lead story as an example, let's take a look at how we can reframe this featured image. So we'll click into the story. Since I'm logged in, I can click Edit Article here in the admin bar. And whether you're using the classic editor or the block editor, the featured image will be in this panel down here. And what we want to focus on is this crop featured image button. So let's click that. This is going to give you a preview display of all of the different sizes that our platform generates when you upload an image. The platform creates all these versions to optimize the delivery when a reader comes to visit your site. However, the widgets we're using only use a subset of these sizes here. So let's go back to the home page and narrow that down. Back on the home page, what I've done is scanned through the lead story and its featured image as it appears in each of the individual widgets, and then open that particular image in a new window so we can see what file the website is actually displaying. So in the case of the slider, we have this image, 960 by 720. The one column uses the same one as does the two column. The vertical stack is using a 400 by 400 pixel image. And finally, the horizontal grid is actually using a 400 by 300 image called a small thumb. And then as we scroll down, both the magazine style and this headline featured image are also going to be using the same 960 by 720. So in order to keep these straight, I've created a one sheet here, which has all of the image sizes, including the original. So the top one, raw, is the original image, 1831 by 1000 pixels. And then here are the three that are actually being displayed on the website. The slider image at 960 by 720, square thumb 400 by 400, and the small thumb at 400 by 300. So now if we come back to the editing of the article, where we have our listings, we were cropping our featured image. We can see here we have the slider image, we have the square thumb, and then we have the small thumb. It's these three here. And as you see, each time you click on one of these crop sizes, you're going to get an overlay displaying the preview of what this aspect ratio will look like on this particular image. So in this case, on our default slider, we could have a nice tight frame here. And then once you're satisfied with that, we'll hit Save Crop. It's only going to be applying this to the slider image. So let's save crop here. And as you can see, the preview has been updated. So before we make any other changes, let's go check that out on the home page. So we'll close out of the cropping option. I'm going to go ahead and update the story, and then we'll come back to the home page and scroll back to the top, and we'll refresh, and often you'll need to clear the cache as well. So we'll do both of those. All right, and after a cache clear and a refresh, we now have this much cleaner close-up frame on that featured image. And as I said before, since multiple widgets are going to be using this same default slider image, as we scroll down, you see that's now propagated to the 1-column widget and the 2-column widget. Although you see we didn't change any of the other ones, so the vertical stack still remains the same with the blurred borders on the square one, as does the horizontal grid. But you see the magazine and this headline all have the new crop frame. One question we often get is how big should a photo be to be able to take advantage of all the cropping options for a featured image. So in order to illustrate that, I've gone and taken our hero image here and reduced the size by a little over half and uploaded it to our media library. So if we go in here and choose crop featured image, wanted to illustrate the difference that you'll see here. First thing is the raw image is 798 by 436 pixels. So basically, the three images that we were using before, the slider image needs at least 720 pixels vertically, so it's going to go ahead and give you a warning saying the original image may be too small. We can go ahead and try to save the crop, and it will do its best there. And if we also go over here to the small thumb, you won't see these errors here because we do have enough pixels for the 400 by 300 and the 400 by 400 crops. So you can still do these, but as soon as you start trying to work your way into the image at all, you're going to start seeing that this warning pop up that the original image is just simply too small. So a good rule of thumb is, since the biggest image size we're going to be using for featured is going to be this 960 by 720, what I've been doing is just making sure, and we can come back here and look at the image we were using for the previous portion of the demo. I made this 1000 pixels on the smallest measurement, which will be vertically here, so that there's plenty of pixels to work with for any of the image sizes and crop sizes that we'd like to use. So in this example, let's take a look at something we'll often run into, and that is vertical photos, such as those taken on a mobile device. In this case, we've got a great photo of a ship taking up the entire vertical space in the photo. Let's go over to the website where I've created a story and I've used this image as the featured image. And what you're seeing here is just the default blurred borders treatment that it gets when it's imported and how that displays in each of the widgets as we've seen before. And in this case, since it's such a tall and wide photo, obviously the blurred borders are going to be on the left and the right. This one column view using the default slider image, the 960 by 720, contains the most of the image that we can see so far. But let's go and edit this article and see what we can do with the image cropping. Click Edit Article here in the admin bar. Then we'll scroll down in the panel to our featured image and we'll click crop featured image. Okay, first off, we'll notice that the dimensions of the original are 962 by 1902. So we've got nearly 2,000 pixels vertically and 1,000 pixels horizontally. So we should be able to crop this pretty much any way we'd like. So let's just start with the slider image. And since this is such a tall image, we actually can scroll a bit here. But you can see this is what the 960 by 720 will get us if we are going to zoom in. The one thing to note about this is it's either the blurred borders or the full crop. You can't mix both. So we'll scroll back up, we'll hit save crop, and now we'll leave the others as they are for now. So we'll exit out of this. Also going to update the story, and we'll do a quick view of the article itself just to bring this out of the editor. And let's go back to the home page and see what it looks like. So first thing I'm going to do is clear the cache. So after a cache clear, we have our newly framed images. The slider is using the 960 by 720, as is the one column and two column, but the vertical stack is still showing the blurred border one. So if we wanted to, we'd need to go back and recrop that, but just wanted to give you an idea how you can affect these tall vertical photos. In this final portion, we're going to take a look at some steps you can take when you've cropped a featured image, but it's not displaying or has not updated on the home page. So I'm glad this happened so I could show you a workaround or a fix for this. Let's go back into the story. We're going to edit it, and what we're going to do is remove the featured image, save the story, then add the featured image back because the crop is saved. If we go into crop featured image, the crop is still saved on our preview over here. We just need to force the article to update its featured image. So I'm going to remove the featured image here and we'll update the article. Notice I'm not doing anything with the image that's actually in the article. This is completely separate. The featured image is controlled completely separately. Okay, and now I'm going to add that featured image back, update the article one more time, and visit the home page. Okay, one other thing you can try when the browser isn't displaying what you expect it to is to just copy the site and open it in a new private window, and this should open it without the caches. So as you can see, now we have our lovely cropped boat image.